Members of Greenpeace are helping the Friends of the Russian River in their efforts to try to get Sonoma County Board of Supervisors to initiate and develop a tree protection ordinance.
This morning we're going to start a 2-day protest, climbing up in the redwood trees and staying there, in protest of the trees removal. There are 22 100-year-old redwood trees, 4 feet in diameter, 200 feet tall, on the state scenic highway right-of-way. The Sonoma County Board of Supervisors, through their planning process, was negligent in protecting the trees. If it can be said that the trees belong to anyone, they belong to the people of the state of California. Our goal through this climb and protest is to demonstrate to the Sonoma County Board of Supervisors the absolute necessity to pass a tree ordinance and adopt policies that will protect unique trees such as this in our county. Thank you.
Linda, you're real familiar with this area and the flood problems. Why don't you address that situation?
Well, that's a good point. The loss of the trees isn't the only problem we have here. During the February flood, this area was inundated about up to here with high velocity currents from the Russian River and Holbrook Creek, which intersects nearby. There are estimates that the water was going about 40 miles an hour, and there are concerns about how the future residents of this project will be cared for during such an event. I'm a member of Friends of the Russian River and also a member of Greenpeace, and I'm also an interested, concerned citizen of the area. I'm very concerned with loss of trees in Sonoma County. Our redwood resource is dwindling at an astonishing rate. Much faster than it can regenerate itself. We're losing trees such as on this site. You can see the backhoes attacking the roots right now today. These trees along the corridor will be sacrificed to mitigate future traffic, and we also have problems protecting our historic trees that are dotted throughout the area. Some old-growth giants still remain outside the parks that need protection. And then we have the problems in the forest lands themselves. We're very worried about cut-and-run style logging. The timber companies who are anxious to liquidate their assets, when liquidating the assets means cutting the trees. And how that will affect the environment is a concern. We know that the redwoods and their roots act like a giant sponge, and when you take that away, we have increased erosion and runoff from that.
And therefore, as a result, you also have more mudslides, more endangering the life of the people.
Yes.
And Linda, you are on RN, correct?
That's right.
So you're concerned with people's welfare as well as the trees?
That's right.
Ernie Carpenter, the area supervisor.
It's a dramatic way and a necessary way to bring about some information about what's happening with redwood trees in Sonoma County. It's an age-old conflict between development and these majestic trees that have been here for a long time. Some good will come out of this. We already have protection standards that we've applied to 2 developments out here for redwood trees. This very highway is up for consideration as a scenic highway. I'm sure it will be designated. And also just some general recognition about the importance of redwood trees, and I hope we can go for a tree ordinance from here and maybe prevent this entirely.
Right. 40 miles per hour, did I estimate? I think right through here, because Holbrook Creek, you see, is, you know, the flash flooding of that creek had such a feel like it. These people plan to sleep on the platform this evening. They're going to stay 2 days. Daryl, who is in the left tree, is going to sleep in a hammock.
The trees to be cut to widen a road are part of the plans of a 17-acre development that's taking the place of an ancient redwood grove. 120 trees over 15-inch diameter have already been cut down to make way for the condominium, hotel, and shopping complex called Dubrava Village, adjacent to the Russian River. The 22 trees are alongside Highway 116, a state scenic corridor. We're concerned that their removal will set a precedent, opening up other state scenic corridors to defenseless destruction. Redwood trees, which date back past the dinosaur age and whose lifespan can exceed 3,000 years, now grow only in California. Statistics prove that the species is surely disappearing. Just over 150 years ago, over 2 million acres of virgin redwood trees flourished in California. Since then, over 95% of the old-growth trees have been cut down. Development and the timber industry are continuing the destructive trend on second-growth redwood trees. Some estimates show that twice the amount of redwoods are being destroyed than are growing back. Greenpeace is demonstrating to show an urgent need for a tree protection ordinance that would set stringent guidelines on the removal or disturbance of these ancient life forms.
Guerneville was the battleground today in a war between condominium developers and Greenpeace activists. Greenpeace protesters launched a Save Our Redwoods campaign aimed at calling attention to the lack of protection given to redwood trees in California. A local developer plans to cut down the trees that you see here to build an access road to his condominium construction site. In all fairness, the developer has obtained all the proper permits to cut down these trees, but as a Sonoma County supervisor says, the developer's plans provided the opportunity to launch a larger campaign.
Some good will come out of this. We already have protection standards that we've applied to 2 developments out here for redwood trees. This very highway is up for consideration as a scenic highway. I'm sure it will be designated. And also just some general recognition about the importance of redwood trees, and I hope we can go for a tree ordinance from here and maybe prevent this entirely.
According to Greenpeace officials, at least 160 redwood trees have already been torn down.
Caltrans wants to chop down the redwoods for a new roadway. No charges filed against the protesters. Some of them are camping out tonight 40 feet up in those disputed trees.
Are not going anywhere. Right now the situation is at a stalemate. Protesters vowing to stay there until they are arrested.
Redwood trees there in Sonoma County today. The environmentalists staged a silent protest against the progress that felled the redwood trees in favor of a condominium project. And Channel 7's David Louie has more on that story for us tonight.
Some people say these are the sounds of progress. To others, this scene makes them sad. A giant redwood came crashing down onto the very soil that gave it life for 100 years.
I hate to see them go, but I don't see any sense in the protesting.
On the other side of Highway 116, there was a protest, a silent one, by tree lovers who were close to tears. Only yesterday, Darrow Sukovitson climbed 75 feet into one of those redwoods to prevent loggers from cutting it down. Over 100 century-old redwoods have been felled for this condominium project along the Russian River. However, these are right along the highway, being cleared to make the entrance road safer.
This is not private property. Property belongs to the taxpayers of California. These trees are a tourist attraction. It's a shame they're gone.
The trees were festooned with streamers and decorated with hearts and protest signs. The Berkeley-based developer, Paul Wang, has been taking all the heat, but he also has the legal right to do this, including state permission. So the protest has not worked.
We want to call attention to the plight of the trees so that this just won't go, so they won't go quietly if they have to go.
This is the gem environmentalists especially wanted to save, but it too came down, all 25 tons of it.
It seems that man wants to put all the beauty, all the treasures of the world into his own pocket. And these are ancient treasures, and unfortunately you have to cut them to put them into your pocket in the form of money.
The name of this project, by the way, is Dubrava, which in Russian means little or small forest. Indeed, the forest that once stood here is getting smaller. By the time the project's done, 160 trees will be gone. In Guerneville, David Louie, Channel 7 News.
And so the chainsaws have won this round. David talked with the developer Paul Wong, who says he understands the protesters' position, but his project's going to go on.
This is TV 50 News, the early report.
Good evening, I'm Karen Provenza.
And I'm Ed Bebout. End it today. Workers were out early this morning to clear the last of the trees. The first one fell at about 7:30 and the rest began falling in quick succession. We're there, and today they watched quietly from the sidelines, resigned to the fact that yesterday's protest could prevent today's cutting.
I hate to lose. But again, with the scenic highway designation in the process and the county tree ordinance in the process, hopefully the future looks a little brighter with saving some redwood trees on the state scenic highway 116.
The Dubrava developer had to cut 200 trees for the condominium project in order to meet Caltrans' requirement for clear sight along the highway. Because the trees are so full of nails and other metal objects, the wood can't be used for building and will be dumped.